Looks like we are live. Hello, everyone. I am so excited about today's live stream. I hope you get to join us live. I am here with Chloë Forbes-Kindlen, who I like to call my web designer, although she has many other things to do in life besides just take care of me. But I love working with Chloë. She has been a huge asset to me, to ivy+light, in helping us make our own website so much more incredible than what I could create myself. And I'm excited to share today with you some amazing projects she's been working on to help you take your website to the next level, to help you take your business really to the next level. And so basically, the most important thing that you can know about Chloë is that she is an incredible businesswoman, incredibly great at what she does, at building websites on SquareSpace and helping other people to do that as well. And she's also just an incredible human. And to me, that's even more important when you work with someone and when I recommend someone to you guys, that they be a great person and that I know they're going to take care of you. And Chloë is that person. So welcome, Chloë. Thank you for joining us today. I'm just going to say a little bit about you, but then feel free to reintroduce yourself. Chloë has been working in social media, websites, all things online business for years, and was working with WordPress, and then at some point made that switch to SquareSpace, had the realization of how much more you can accomplish with SquareSpace, and then began helping others to build their own beautiful SquareSpace sites. So the newest project is an entire website template designed specifically for wellness business owners. And I know there are even more templates coming, but we're going to talk about the wellness ones today. So if you enjoy the ivy+light website, if you think that it's beautiful and easy to use and you love taking our courses and all the other things we've built in there, then you're going to love hearing about these templates today and everything that Chloë has to say. So welcome, Chloë. Thank you for joining us, and you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you so much. That was a big introduction. I'm not sure I can live up to that, but we try. Hi to everybody who's watching, especially if you're a wellness practitioner. I hope that you get a lot out of today's stream. Like Erin said, I used to be a die-hard WordPress user, and I actually switched to SquareSpace after trying to prove the point that it wasn't the superior platform. And 2 hours later, after launching my new site, I had to admit that I was wrong, and that even though people were saying WordPress was the best in the world, I had to realize it wasn't the best in the world for me. And that was huge, because in that moment, I realized it didn't have to be as difficult as I thought it had to be, and I could choose an easy route to accomplishing my goals and my mission, which really is a huge part of the templates and that I'm trying to create for people as well, offering an easy alternative and accessible route to building your online business without all the stress and without all the overwhelm that goes along with it.
I think that's huge, because I talk to so many people that I've met online or just my friends and acquaintances, people who have these bold ideas. They want to start their own business and they get stuck at implementing, like step one, build a website. And you know, we're always telling them, like, it really doesn't have to be that hard. But then in our minds, we create a giant block. Then if you try to use WordPress, I've honestly never heard a positive review about WordPress from somebody who wasn't a WordPress designer or had a huge team. And I know from building 2 websites before this version that you helped me create, before building that one, having built 2, it is hard when you don't know anything about web design. And we don't want things to be hard if they don't have to be, right? And so that is the beauty of finding a problem and creating a solution for it. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about a little bit. We actually, the idea for starting with wellness website templates, I believe, came from the fact that I had a problem and I needed a solution, and I came to you and I said, okay, I know that you can help me do this. I was finding that having a wellness business that was multifaceted, that wasn't just me repping one company or just having courses or just selling a product, that was it was as multifaceted as I am as a human, that there wasn't a good solution for that. There wasn't a way to pay somebody else, you know, to house my essential oil stuff And then if I wanted to have my jewelry, and then, you know, that's Etsy. And then I want to have, and it was all over the place. It was confusing for me. And I know that means it's confusing for my customer. So I said, you know, if there are all of these options out there that are imperfect, there's got to be a way to create the perfect solution if we just look at it hard enough. So you helped me design my website, and then we took a lot of all of those leaps that we had to make. We took a lot of that and you put that into these templates. So I would love for you to talk about that, starting with a problem and designing for a solution.
Yeah. So I that's a key point in itself. I think that that's how all of our businesses should be run, especially if we're doing any sort of service provision. It should be, how do I make this easier and more accessible and just a good experience for our clients? And so when you came to me and you made the point, you know, I do all this stuff and there is templates for just essential oils or for just this part of my business. And the thing about a website is it's your home on the internet, and it represents who you are, all those facets of your brand. And it also has to grow with you. And so it really came down to listening to all those key issues that you were experiencing and considering all the obstacles that are in the way. Now, that's always the same when it comes to website design. It's always, you know, even if I'm doing website design one-on-one for a client, they have to provide the branding, the copyright, and the images. That's not my job as a designer. My job is just to make the website. But that's where the obstacles came in. People didn't know how to brand their website. They didn't know how to do the copyright in. They didn't know which pages they needed or what to include on which pages, or how to source images, or how to set your site up in a way that it sells. You can have a beautiful website, but it needs to be functional and serve a purpose, and it needs to be set up so that you are going to be able to sell your products and services, and do it with ease, not do it with the frustration and the overwhelm and having to jump 100 different obstacles or take 100 different courses to learn how it all comes together. And so it was taking all of those different elements and really thinking, how can we package this in a way that it solves these problems without adding to them, without making something that's even more overwhelming, or you have to go through even more obstacles to learn how to set this all up and use your website. And that's where I came up with this idea of having it done for you and having everything built into the site, so you weren't having to go through hundreds of pages of workbooks or watch 100 different videos to set it all up. It was all done for you, and all you had to do is make these small bite-sized decisions on each page as to what you need to include, with all the prompts along the way to help you with that.
I think that's powerful too, the idea of having the prompts, because if you go to Chloe's website, and I'm going to pop it up here, if you look at these templates, you will see that it's not just here's a blank page, right? Or here's a page with photos. You actually say, this is where you will put this sort of statement. This is where you explain, you know, the customer's problem. This is where you explain your three solutions. This is where you invite them to join your group or to get to know more about you. You actually, not only is the website taking the customer through a journey, but it's taking the business owner through the journey first, right? So that then they can take the customer through that journey. And very often, we don't even know what the journey is ourselves. And we jump to putting something on the internet before we kind of go through those important business 101 decisions. And I find this in business coaching too. People want to create a course, but they have no idea what their brand is. So we have to back up. What's your brand? What's your purpose? Who's your person? You know, do all that stuff. So a website template like yours is literally walking them through the steps to decide how they can make this message clear, and they're not having to pay you to sit across from them while they figure that out. And when I built my first ivy+light website, I paid someone to do my branding. I paid someone to do copywriting. I had someone, you know, writing some of the blog posts and there's a lot of money that went into the creation of this, that you've kind of remove the need for that because you've built in exactly what they need, the questions they need to ask themselves and answer on the template. And so I want you to talk for a second about that, being able to kind of remove the need for an entire branding team.
Yeah. So you make a couple of really good points. And the key thing is to have, even if you're paying somebody to do all those different elements, you're paying different people with their own visions and ideas. And so sometimes those teams are not working together to create that cohesive place where everything is speaking to each other and it makes sense. And so it was important to create a solution that made sense, and not only that, educated and empowered business owners. I think that we have a responsibility as business owners to empower our customers in a way that's more than just to buy from us.
Mm.
So you can pay somebody to do all that stuff, you're not going to understand it. And if you can't understand it, how can you communicate with clarity and confidence? And how can you lead your business? So much of everything we do is wrapped up in mindset. And it's those are two of, I mean, my core business values are inclusivity, integrity, empowerment, accessibility, and education. And I think that it's important to align what we're doing to those business values. So within the template, it's more than just teaching you even how to build your website. It's teaching you things like on your about page, how to tell your brand story. If you can tell your brand story on your about page, when somebody asks you what you do next time, you're not going to be all flustered thinking, I don't know how to answer this, or tell them a whole history guide on what you've done and how you got to this point. You're able to speak with confidence, clarity, ease, stand up and be able to say exactly what you're saying. And that's a huge part on the other end of being able to sell. It is important to guide our customers through that journey. We have to understand what that journey is, and we have to understand what they're looking for at each step in the journey and what they need to hear from us. And if we are confident in those messages, they're going to sense that. Energy transference is huge. If you doubt your offer, if you doubt what you're saying and what you're doing, then your customers and your clients are too. Buyers are not going to buy because they sense that hesitance. And the other thing is, you could be the best in the world at what you do, but people are going to judge your work based on how you're able to market it. And so it was a case of, how do we educate through something as simple as a template without it being overwhelming, and how do we almost incorporate coaching into it, where you're starting to think about these elements that make up your business, your services pages. How do you define your services? Are you pricing your services in a way that actually makes sense and makes you profitable? All of those little decisions people don't consider with website design, but if you don't consider them, a lot of the times you can be setting yourself up to not achieve your goals, or not achieve the purpose that you set out to achieve. And you can then blame yourself for it and think, I'm not this, I'm too this is just too overwhelming. Maybe I need to buy more courses. Maybe I need to invest in more coaches. And it's like, no, you just need to have the solid foundation in place. And for me, your website is the vehicle or the mechanism you can use to do that.
Yeah. And if you're confused about what you're offering, or not convinced about, what you're offering, then your customer is going to be 1/10 as clear, 1/10 as convinced as you are. We can't assume that they're going to believe in us more than we believe in ourselves. And so putting it out there with as much clarity as possible. And that was one of the things we talked about a couple of weeks on one of our chats. And I always learn something new every time we talk, which is why I love doing coaching calls with you. I love working on projects with you, because we get so much out of it. But that was one of the things you talked about, was the mindset shift of having a clear message, and that you actually need to put out the offer and then receive the money from it, or else you're not going to have a business. You can't help people without a business, right? And so to be able to have a website that is step by step by step, helping the customers to go through that journey, so that you can then have a business that is profitable. And that way you can continue to help people. That helping people and making money are not distinct. They go together. And I think that that's really important for people, especially in something like wellness or art or one of these, non-business type businesses. It's really important for us to be able to latch onto that. And so the second thing that we talked about the other week, the, kind of 3 pillars, that mindset shift. And then the second one was the sales psychology and how that's built into the website. So can you talk about that a little bit, how I don't have to be a sales psychology expert to use your template?
Yeah. So the mindset is always huge. It's always going to be the thing that holds us back so much. And I think there's still this money is the elephant in the room conversation, especially when it comes to artists, creatives, and people who want to serve. We feel like there's something almost dirty about it. But the thing I'd say to that, and I want to stress this point, because even if whether you're interested in templates or not, it's really important to understand that you deserve to be paid for the value you're providing the world. And you are doing a disservice to yourself and to your customers and potential buyers if, one, you are not charging adequately, because people will not value what you're doing. They won't listen to your advice. They won't take action. They're not invested enough in it. And 2, you're able to help a lot more people and serve a lot of people a lot better if you have a profitable business versus being, overwhelmed and tired and struggling to make the next paycheck. That's where you make bad decisions. And bad decisions don't help anybody, least of all yourself. And then the other thing about it is a lot of people don't like to sell. It feels uncomfortable, or it feels sleazy, or you have this idea that if you're promoting what you're doing, you're just being that sleazy salesman, the car jerk guy that everybody talks about. But the truth is, if you really believe in what you're doing and it really solves a problem, it's a disservice to your potential buyers not to promote what you're doing. That's like somebody having, a cut sitting on the side of the walk, and you're standing there with a Band-Aid, but you're not going to tell them, hey, I have this thing that can help you. Would you like it? You have to be able to tell people what you're doing and be able to be confident that if you're providing a solution, then you're helping people to find you. It's your job to help people to find you.
Yeah. And if you can present it that way, as a problem solution scenario, instead of a you have money and I would like your money scenario, which is what we think about when we think about sales. We think about and money exchange, when really it's an energy exchange, and that energy exchange is problem and solution. And so if you can explain to people, if you have this problem, I have the solution, and allow them to just make that decision, then there's no negative there. They're just getting the value that they wanted. And I think you said something about, not being exhausted with the sales process and run down. And I think that is part of having a well thought out customer journey on your website. Is, for me at least, when we redid the website, I was getting fewer questions about my offerings and people just buying them. And how exhausting it is to have to be constantly answering emails or messages about things that I've already said over and over, or, it should be clear what's in this course. It should be clear what's in this coach. Why is it not clear? And it's because me understanding it is not the same thing as it showing up on the website that way. And so part of having that framework built into a website is that it actually guides the customer through what they need to know, when they need to know it, and does that work for me. I have to create it once, and then it continues to do that work for me. So I would love for you to talk about that a little bit, how having a framework on the website is kind of a revenue generator in and of itself for people, and keeps them from having to organically, build all of their sales themselves.
Yeah. So again, if you don't like selling, it's completely understandable. You have to do it to be a business. But one of the ways that you can reframe your thinking around that is to really think about, okay, I'm providing this solution to solve this problem. What information do you need? Because that's all the customer journey is. How we take a stranger, then get them to find us, and then how do we convert them into being a customer? And again, it's going back to what stages do they go through and what information do they need. And so if you have your website set up to answer every objection that they have, every question that they have, if you're transparent in your pricing and your processes and how the whole thing works, then you end up, if you can knock down all those objections, then the buyer has to reach a decision. Do they want to buy or do they not want to buy? But what you do is you filter out all those back and forth conversations, those sales conversations you don't want to have, and the ones that trip you up in the moment because you're nervous or unsure. And again, you start to doubt what you're doing. So if we can answer all of those questions on our websites through our pages, if we can give them all the information they need and educate our customers on everything that we're doing, then it makes it really easy for them to make the purchasing decision. And like you said, it takes all of the work out from it. You don't have to focus on selling. If you're somebody who is service-based, which hopefully most people are, you can focus on creating content that is of value and trusting that the content that you're creating is helping to alleviate some of that decision making, is providing quick wins, and it's getting people to come to your site. You're home on the internet, you're becoming a go-to resource, and then you can get people on your email list. And like you said, a lot of things are built into the framework. So we need to attract clients to our website. Once we're there, we need to provide them with the right information. The content prompts provide that. Then you want to get people on your email list. So we have a lead magnet solution in there to show you how to create a freebie and a workbook on how to show you all the different steps, again, with content prompts on how to do that. Then you have to start emailing your list. So there's a welcome email sequence in there to get people building the relationship with you and to the point where they're ready to buy. When you're ready to offer a product or service, you've got the store in there, you've got a coaching solution in there, there is the essential oils page itself, if you are a distributor, and then there's a number of sales pages. And even then, if you want to upsell an offer, there's a tripwire page. If you want to run a webinar before your offer, there's a webinar page. So it really is encompassing everything that you need, so you don't have to think about it. And then on the back end, you're also getting access to Teachable. And within Teachable, I haven't just created videos on how to change your graphics out or how to change your colors. It's very much, okay, how do you do that part? How do you customize your site? How do you use your site? Now, how do you promote your site? And you know, you spoke about graphics earlier. I've included that as an add-on as well. So you don't even have to think about the promotion of your website. Everything is included. And so it's empowering you to make those decisions, learn along the way, but do it in a bite-size, easy to digest way where you're not going to get overwhelmed, and you're going to really connect and learn about your business and realign what you're setting yourself out to do with what you're actually doing, and building the confidence to be able to share that message.
I love that. I want to hit 2 points. And if those of you who are watching, if you have questions too, if you put them in the chat, we can see and answer them. We've got about 5 more minutes left here. But I wanted to hit 2 points. And the first one was that absolutely, once we built this website for me and it was gorgeous, then I thought, now my social media isn't as pretty as my website. And so I came back and I was like, is there a way to get social media graphics? And fortunately you said, I'm doing that already. It's coming. So now if you guys have seen my recent YouTube videos, my recent social media posts, Facebook posts, Instagram posts, you have noticed, I'm just going to assume you have noticed that they look nicer. And the reason that they look nicer is because there is a template for how to do all of the different kinds, but have them still look cohesive. And as a creative person, I get really bored just doing one type of post, just a graphic, just a photo. And so I always want to do something different, which means it ends up looking like a different brand. And so this allows me to play while still having it look cohesive with the colors, with the fonts, but you've built in a lot of playability for those of us who are creative to have lots of different options. So I wanted to mention that actually for me was an absolute necessity after having that beautiful website, was to be able to have a matching cohesive social media presence. But the other thing I wanted to go back to was that we've talked a lot about sales decisions, sales psychology. And of course, that involves people purchasing something and exchanging money. But actually, it's not just that. It's any decision a customer makes. And almost always that decision is to just learn more, to just be more connected. And one of the biggest things I noticed immediately upon launching the new site was how many more people are joining my Facebook community, are getting on emails. And because I give so much value in those spaces, but you can't see it unless you're in there, just having the ability from the website, me doing nothing, to make it easy for people to notice and then make the decision to join Facebook, to take my lead magnet and then join my email list. And then I can just give the value I'm giving anyway, but to more and more and more and more people as they join. So that's huge too. Having a website that's not just a singular focus on a shop. Having a website that's a focus on the entire journey, which involves a lot of free goodness, but they won't access it unless they know how to interact with you. And that's part of that framework that's built in. So I'll just shout out there to you on the fact that if you want to sell through giving value, the framework that you've built into the website enhances our ability to do that, enhances the ability to give more to people by getting them more involved in the brand, which I'm super excited about. And I just love that was the result. And I kind of didn't know that my website itself could do that, right? So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it was, if I compare my traffic, so we're Google SEO, that's up hugely too. But literally people clicking on buttons is up hugely. And I had buttons there, but people weren't clicking, and now they are. So that is the power of using that template. We've got 3 more minutes, so I want to make sure we cover everything. So obviously down here, I've got your website, and I'll put it in the description as well, but it's chloeforbesk.com, and they can go learn about your website template in a way that actually shows kind of how it works, right? Because your website is a customer journey. They get to enjoy that customer journey, make that decision on if they want to work with you. I would love for you to answer one question in the last 2 minutes here. Why a template, and why not just work with you one-on-one? What's the value for you and them of the template, and why is that a great option?
So the biggest thing was just coming back to those core values I spoke about: integrity, accessibility, inclusivity, empowerment, and education. It's a lot easier to empower people at scale than it is to do it on one-on-one. But I also wanted to make sure that I was creating something that was very much in line with my belief system. And that was 2 things. One, I wasn't well last year. I struggled with my health. A lot of people have. And I definitely have the privilege of living in a country with a national health service. Not everybody has that privilege. And so what happens is we create the cycle of burnout. Mm-hmm. And I'm always telling people, you have to set yourself up in a way that's a business, not just owning a job. And I hadn't done that. So templates were definitely a way for me to pivot and make sure I did that. The second part was being able to empower people and really educate people, so that this was more than a website. You're getting a whole training on how to, set up and run your online business in a way that is profitable and also aligned with your own values as well. That was huge. I didn't want to tell you what to do. I wanted to be there with you, provide the support, show you how to do it without having to be one-on-one with you each step of the way, because again, that's not very scalable.
Yeah, and it's expensive it's time consuming for you, which means expensive for them. And that's another block we give ourselves. We say, well, I can't do this because it's going to be thousands of dollars. It does not have to be thousands of dollars to get started, for sure. So I love that one of the pieces of integrity is you need to build a business that can be successful long-term so that you can help other people do that. We can't burn ourselves out trying to help people. That's not teaching them what they need to know. But with the template and having all the prompts, by the time they're at the end, they understand why they did this, why they said what they said, why the customer is going on this journey. And Squarespace is so easy to maintain. That's the other beauty of using Squarespace, is that now I can create new pages. I can say, oh, okay, I want to build this sort of page, and that's a lot like this template. Let me just duplicate it and tweak it. And I can, play around and build things that are not broken. Yeah, because it's very, very easy to not screw things up on Squarespace. So that's the beauty of the education and the empowerment, is that now they can continue to add more to the website with the knowledge that they have, and all of those new pages will be great too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, that you're not having to pay a developer each time.
Yes, yeah, you don't have to come back and say, and I've done that too. I've come back and I've said, I don't think this page is as good as what you could do. And then you look at it and you say, Erin, it's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with this. You're just being hard on yourself. I'm like, okay, you're right. You're right. But I can just take what you have created and I can just kind of duplicate it and put my own spin on it every time I want to create a new page, and it still looks cohesive. That's the key. I think that cohesive branding and cohesive flow.
Yeah. So consistency.
Exactly, consistency. So guys, we're going to have to end the call now because Chloe has to go help some more people. But really quickly, if you want to go to her website to check it out, it's down here on the screen, and then we'll put it in the chat, the description as well. But we also have a special offer for you. Chloe's been gracious enough to extend a discount to all of the people who watch this video, all of our Ivy and Light community. If you would like to purchase that website template, or if you want to purchase some of the other things that she has on her site, including the social media templates, all of the goodness that's there at all the different levels, whatever it is that you need for your business, she has given me a code to give you guys, which I believe it's ERIN10, right? ERIN10.
All caps.
ERIN10 through the end of August, so through August 31st, and you can take 10% off of anything in the store. So take advantage of this. Go to her website, go through all of that customer journey she's provided for you to decide what's going to be best for you, and then use that code to get a discount to get started and stop making the website the thing that is keeping you from running your business, right? Don't let that be the block. We've created the solution. Don't let that be what's stopping you anymore. So Chloe, any last thoughts that you have on this before we let them go and I let you go to your next call?
The only thing I'd say, whether you purchase templates or not, the one thing that has really helped me in business is, especially recently, is asking myself, what would this look like if it was easy? And ask yourself that question. That's the only thing I'd add, because sometimes we make things all the time. We always make things much harder than we need them to be. And we get ourselves into the mindset of thinking we have to do everything. And if that's the stuff that lets us get overwhelmed and blocked. So just ask yourself, what would this look like if it was easy?
Absolutely. And then do that thing. Do the easy thing. Forget all the machinations and thoughts and worries, and just do the easy thing. Well, thank you again, Chloe, so much for joining us, taking the time today. I'm so excited, guys, for you to dive in, learn more about this on her site. If you have questions, you can leave them in the chat here on YouTube, and we'll get back to those if you watch this back on the replay. And that's all we have for you today. If you have other big questions and we need to come do a second video, we're also happy to do that too. So again, all those questions below, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff for more interviews and wellness content here on the Ivy and Light YouTube. Love you guys so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Chloe.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next time.